You're live. Congratulations. Thank you. At last. Let's give this a shot. This is new, so I'm going to do what I do the best I can do it. And it goes as follows. In the light of these historic times of changes, we all need to come to aid each other to get through this. Words have been deliberately misused, yet our emotional wellness as the power of influence is our greatest value of exchange. This nation is in turmoil as global mental stability is also on the line. Instability is on the rise everywhere, and only we have the power to stop this madness. Only we have the power to stop this madness. They are not like us. We are the originals. They are not like us. Yet we will be held accountable by God, who goes by many names. Trust that. This is my message as my needed contribution. My eyes look like they're all over the place. Is this where I'm at? Right here? Right here? Yes, yes. As my needed contribution because Kendrick Lamar's halftime show came out the gate slow but swinging to show our stance in America and only a portion of the power of who we truly are. Know thyself. I refuse to let him make that stand alone. So I shaved and got myself a little prettied up here. Now I put on my hood because a lot of people think I'm in the hood, but it's deeper than that. Philadelphia means brotherly love. So not only should I refuse to let Kendrick Lamar make this stand alone, but you should also. And I've seen it. I've seen many people making video posts, but this is much deeper than that. Philadelphia means brotherly love. And that Super Bowl win is our symbolism, indicating that we have the victory. We have the victory. Didn't you see? Didn't you see it? I didn't watch it, but I know this. Donald Trump left, and the Eagles, when you really think about an eagle, they're brown. And the Chiefs, I gather, the commander in chief was supporting the Chiefs, and they lost. So that's telling you something right there. Nonetheless, I'm going to see how I can stay with this script because this is my first post. This is what we're going to try to do. Philadelphia means brotherly love. And that Super Bowl win is our symbolism indicating that we have the victory, the ashes of the past, the ancestors, and all creation are ready. then we must match that. We must match that. Make no mistake. This is spiritual warfare, and this is our time to ride this, our spiritual rise to power in the right way. Freedom must call to itself, and we have the blueprints. I am here to help make that happen. I've been afraid for several years, almost being affected like the strange fruit that has been spoken of that was hanging from trees to put fear in anybody else who would try to do the same thing. Just the other day, I looked and I discovered that I'm a survivor. I've been exposed to the martyrs that has been slaughtered. I was 7 years old, and John F. Kennedy was killed as I was walking home from school. And a girl named Merlin said to me, because I was happy, I was looking at a fantastic video. Well, it wasn't video back then. This was 1963. So they had a film projector, and it was what they call the assembly in the auditorium at an elementary school. And my recollection brings to mind the Flintstones. They had a movie back then for us in school. And me feeling good, Merlin looked at me and said, I don't know what you're happy about. The president just got shot. At the age of 7, I had somebody whom I believed in. I had hope that we were going to be in a better world. Somebody who was going to make America great. And I've been afraid ever since. Malcolm, he got shot in 65. Bobby was shot in 67, and Martin Luther King was shot in April the 4th, 1968. And you think I was going to get up there and say something? Well, I didn't for a long time, but no. I'm tired of this. And I have a cousin right now who's actually on the TV show Survivor. And seeing what's happening in that show and recognizing the shift from corruption to integrity and honesty and honor, he makes me stand out. Thank you, my man, my cousin Kyle. He's doing things. He won the immunity necklace last night's episode, but I don't know when you're going to listen to this or see this. So I'm going to do what I can to read through this script. But let me let you know that my intention for my podcast is to apply music as I go forward. So I want to bring a message, and the message is really in the music. The podcast content I was working on before this had the lyrics from a Prince song that says, it's time for new education. Former rules don't apply. We need a power structure that breeds production instead of vamps who vandalize. I'm sorry, he said instead of jacks who vandalize. And I gather that must be jackasses, I guess. But vandalism is the destruction of public property. Man, this is crazy. We see it and we need to stand up. So I'm gonna read through this and then we'll figure it out from there, okay? We'll figure this out. We will figure this out together. Okay, where am I? I am here to help make that happen by established principles, starting with cooperative economics as love and faith, starting with unity in love as love, in faith through a Swahili term called ujima. Ujima is collective work and responsibility. These principles that I'm speaking are known in Swahili as nguzo. Nguzo means foundational principles. Look, my Cash App is $King Teasdale Cash because I can't do nothing but this work here. And I need to make sure I focus on making this happen. All right? So, trust God and I will instruct. And so it is. Because, hey, freedom must call to itself. The docere king. Docere is a Latin term meaning doctor. And doctor actually means teacher. So, you guys don't know this, but there was a war in heaven. I'm just going to throw it out there, right? This is an introduction, but there was a war in heaven, and a third of the heavenly host was cast out of heaven down to the earth. And this is in the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter. And they talk about the authority that would not be released of the one that was given the authority. And it reminded me very much of the insurrection of January the 6th, several years back. And, just as we have a capital here in the United States, heaven is really everywhere. And the reason why I bring this to the table as the Genesis man is because there is always Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. But what's most interesting is that first things first, and the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. There's a lot of decoding that's necessary of the stuff that is right before our very eyes. But we can't see it, but we need to be taught what this is. So as I continue to move forward and I look at what I'm doing with getting these podcasts together, I'm going to put these songs in as necessary. That song that I was talking about is called Dance On, where he says it's time for new education, former rules don't apply. I mean, think about it, Trump is in office, and there's a darkness that he can't see. He wants to be the best president. He really does. But because he can't see the darkness, and because of so many other factors, we're going to have to suffer because we couldn't see what we were supposed to see as a collective. That's why collective work and responsibility is so important. And The reflection of the war in heaven in comparison to what's happening right now is different in this respect. When the war occurred in heaven, where the archangel came, whose name was Lucifer, just so you know, this is how the story goes. He was with a dragon. And I vibrate at a certain frequency to hear more than what other people do. And dragons are thoughts, and thoughts always comes to us. We are either going to be possessed by the thought, or we are going to have the thought possess us, or we are going to possess the thought and construct it in a manner of a better experience across the board. So as I get myself together for all these things that are to be revealed, let's use reveal. We're going to rock this, okay? So when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. With it being 15 minutes already into this, I'm going to just read what I have here. It's been a while since I did this, but I had to break the glass ceiling. I had to do something. I had to make this happen. So let's read what I have here. Because what it says, the next slide says this: we are running out of time to wait. And that's some real talk right there. Ouch, my leg hurts. My apology. Anyway, we are running out of time to wait. The removal of confusion movement must commence. That's the Orach movement. I might have typed it in the description. Orach is our removal of confusion. King's script. Somebody's got to be the progenitor of it. And so I am he. The way in which I'm looking at making that happen is everybody has the ability to participate and contribute, because one man it's impossible for one man to have all the answers. I mean, straight like that. But when we all come together, as we ought, because that's what union is, okay? When we all come together to be whole, perfect, and complete, we get rid of all of the confusion, because God did not give us confusion as it is purported. You see, the biggest problem that we have in our world today is men tell us anything. And the way in which things sound, mental illness, from my perspective, is really based on what men tell. And men tell lies. And they've been telling lies for decades, for centuries. History is convoluted because of it. Mental stability is necessary for our emotional wellness and well-being collectively. Truth be told, we are so inundated of the physicality of our existence, we can't even comprehend what it would look like for there to be no measure. We cannot comprehend what physicality is not. Where there is nothing, nowhere, no measure, no orientation, just pure energy, and that energy being everywhere. That's the energy that is what heaven really is. And as heaven differentiated into individualization, if one may say, the complications came into play in such a way to where this archangel that was given authority over a third of heaven, gave the order that they were going to take over heaven. But Archangel Michael said, oh no. Michael meaning God, like, he said, oh no, we're not having this. And so the battle ensued. And this is the funny thing about it. There was no choice. There was no choice. Whatever the authorities said, it had to be complied. There was no choice. But everything belongs to the Lord. Lord means owner. So the inheritance comes to the Son. The Son, recognizing the love the Father has for creation, came to the Father, said, Dad, we got rid of them from up here because we ain't want that cancer up here. And we put them away from us. That's why in Genesis it says, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form, and darkness covered the surface of the deep. Listen, in the beginning, God, that by itself is to itself. And that's whatever name you want to give it, because check this. God's first language was not English, okay? So don't get it twisted. The next line says, created, boom. The next line, the heavens, that's plural, and the earth. And then the focus comes straight to the earth. All that other stuff you hear people talking about, what have you, that's not the point. The heaven and the earth. And then it says, and the earth was without form, and darkness covered the surface of the deep. That's a deep passage right there in and of itself. Where do you plant seeds? In the deep. Where do you plant seeds? In the surface. And the Spirit of the Lord hovered over the waters. The Lord, being the owner, hovered, watching. Why? Because there was going to come a time when the light was going to come. And there was going to be a shift. And when that shift came forth, that shift was in order to set the captives free. Oh, this is deeper than you can possibly imagine. So the lyrics of Kendrick Lamar's halftime show is so much deeper than you can possibly imagine. I have to be the teacher of all of this, at least, because we are all here to make this happen. So let's go ahead and hit this off. Our removal of confusion movement must commence, for the true path to the entrance of liberation's portal must be forged of our God and ancestors and forced to be reopened again to gain. And it must, because I polarize in order to love, stabilizing truth and loyalty. You see, when the Father heard that the Son recognized that his love was so powerful, the Son says, I'm going to get what belongs to us. That's where the Christ consciousness thing kicks in. And that was a reckless love, because no matter what the situation was, it was going to make things happen here. And somehow that energy that was down here, that was all chaotic, was set in some order so that it can return back to the source. It's deeper than you can possibly imagine. I have to take you by the hand to have you understand that. This is basically me guiding humanity through a landmine of explosives that will blow you to smithereens if you're not on point. Anywho, Then the power of choice came into play. When God gave man the breath of life. Look, you have been told so many things. And personally speaking, I think mental illness, or let's say our mentality has been ruptured because of the father of lies, the father of confusion, the progenitor of all of these things, because he's trying to divert what we're here to do. We are the continuation of creation. Don't get it twisted. Let me go and read what I have here. And I hope you captured what I was saying. And I'm saying a lot, and I'm not supposed to apologize. But what I will say is this: please forgive my presentation if it is too much, but this is how it's been given to me. And I'm doing everything in my power to give it out the right way. I need your help. Help me get this message out because it's deeper than most churches even dare to talk about because they ain't there. Listen, I was born king. I was born king. 6 months before my birth, my father gave me the name king, and he never really understood what that was, and he couldn't share that with me. But I know my father was a very special man. And after he died in the year 2000, there was a sermon. And I learned that the man named Nehemiah in the Bible was the king's cupbearer. My dad has always been there for me ever since my birth until his departure. And we all are here for a reason. And I believe I have been predestined to do this because I can't let it go. I've been trying to avoid this, but I can't. It keeps haunting me. I'm 68 years old now, and it's like, you're going to get this done. Pretty much that's the way it looks. I mean, I got people dying all around me, but I am so blessed. My mother's 93 years old and in a good mind. And she's able to get up and bathe herself and cook. But we have to watch her because she doesn't cook like somebody 44. She doesn't cook and walk as a person 55. She responds like a person that is 93. Let me rephrase that. She responds like a person who has been blessed to reach the age of 93 in such a way to where we are grateful to be able to be by her side. Man. Okay. Woosah, woosah. Okay. Now, just because this is the first, I'm going to go and I'm going to get to a place here and I'm going to stop. Okay. Because I've given you guys a lot. And let's see where this goes. I'll make a notation as to where I am here and we'll proceed from there. Okay. So the removal of confusion movement. I got many movements that, let's rephrase that. Because the first thing crossed my mind was going to the bathroom, but that ain't what I'm talking about. Even though there's a lot of that needs to be flushed. Anyhow, there's the 5,000 Kings Campaign Initiative. Because what I have been given over the years, the empirical knowledge and all of that, I've been a paramedic for 20 years here in the city of Baltimore. I've done research at Johns Hopkins University. People who have heart surgery. I have been at the table while we were operating on the initial stages of these things. there's something. I'm an anomaly. Okay, trust me. Listen, I'm so much an anomaly to where if you go to Die Hard with a Vengeance, I am in the movie. Yes, so I can let you know this. I am in the movie with Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson. And guess what? I actually have a speaking part. He's going to be just fine. It's just after the explosion where Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis was on the ship that was out to sea, that was supposedly a decoy, and they wanted to get rid of these two guys, but they escaped before the explosion. And there was this drama that was going on the ship beforehand, of which Samuel Jackson was shot in the leg. So Graham Greene on the set, he said to me, uh, he said, when you're playing the role of a paramedic there and you're wrapping his leg, he said, you want to act like that's what you're really doing. And the reason why he told me that is because they laughed at me, right? I mean, I worked with the fire department at the time, and I was called to duty to bring a medic unit down to location. And the director said, I need somebody to say something. After Samuel Jackson said, I was shot in my whole leg. What do you think I'm feeling? So director said, I need somebody to say something. And there was two other people there that was playing the role of paramedic, but they said nothing. So when he said, let's roll that again, he didn't ask that anybody say anything again. He just said, let's roll that again. And so when he said that, I said, he's going to be just fine. And they kept it in the movie. I didn't even know. It blew me away, but we'll talk about the rest of that later. Um, so I am an anomaly in more ways than can be possibly imagined. So, with that being said, let's read the rest of this. The removal of confusion movement. Okay, let's get back to that. And I'm gonna move forward after this. The removal of confusion movement is a contribution. Okay, I think we corrected where we were, and I do apologize for that. Um, you guys might have been here when I was describing what was happening with the Die Hard movie, of which I have been a participant. Um, so if you were, hopefully I got to the place to where I was describing the director saying that he needed somebody to say he's going to be just fine. And Graham Greene, one of the actors that was there, he actually said that instead of me looking in the face of Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis as they were saying their roles, I want to actually act like I'm wrapping his leg because there's a bullet in it, you know. So I was like, okay, I got you. But the funny thing is that they was laughing at me when I did that, and that was cute. But when at the end of that particular day, we had to load Samuel Jackson onto the helicopter, and there is the movie set has hundreds of people there, people that are doing variety of things. But because we had to lift Samuel Jackson on the gurney, everybody stopped what they were doing so they